Okay. Excellent. Thanks all for being here. Just wanted to thank you for joining today. My name is Katie Adastra. I'm a senior client partner with Centric Consulting. We're a business and technology consulting firm and a partner of UiPath. This session is being hosted in conjunction, as Diana said, with the St. Louis UiPath community chapter, along with the South Florida chapter and UiPath. Given today's topic is a hot one, we wanted to extend this invitation to others in the UiPath community across the globe. So today, we're going to be focused on the UiPath Business Automation Platform release that just happened in October, a few weeks ago. And we're lucky to have Dhruv Patel, who is a senior solution architect for Incubation at UiPath. Dhruv will be talking about the details surrounding this recent product release and what is now currently available to you all. I will be monitoring the chat, so please feel free to put any questions in there. This session is for you all, and we want to make sure that you get the most out of it. So without further ado, Dhruv, are you ready to impart your knowledge on us?
Yep. Yeah, ready to go.
Excellent.
Let me share the screen. And just as a quick introduction, for those that don't know, my name is Dhruv Patel, Senior Solution Architect here at UiPath on our incubation team. I was in the sales engineering side, so knowledgeable of the platform, the products really, and helping customers use and understand them. And now have kind of moved more into some of the emerging products and supporting really how customers use generative AI within their automations. Today I'll be focused more on the 23.10 release, right? And some of the products and capabilities that are available to you to use today. You'll also get kind of a sneak peek into some of the things that are coming in preview that if you go to insider.uipath.com, you'll be able to sign up for and get access to, as long as you have a UiPath Cloud account. As I go through this, again, put questions in the chat or feel free to just jump off mute. I want to keep this open and feel free to just have an open dialogue. We've seen this slide before and seen it in the past, right? It's our UiPath Business Automation Platform. We have our three kind of stacks for how automation and how the platform can really help an organization on their journey to transform and really automate a lot of the processes and find efficiencies. This is pretty similar to ones that you've seen in the past, with really what we've done. Kind of the bigger change here is right in the middle around this automate layer, where you'll see that we have now generative AI experiences. And so you'll start to see more and more of these come to the platform through UiPath Autopilot. It's going to bring these experiences to your users, however they're using the platform, right? If they're an analyst, if they're a developer, if they're a tester, et cetera, they'll all get a way to kind of interact and leverage generative AI to improve some of the things that they're doing. Now, we still have specialized AI there, and we are augmenting specialized AI with generative AI as well to really improve, how easy it is to get some of those models up and running, trained, and out the door, and even help with things like validation. Now, on this latest release, right, as with all of the releases, there's hundreds of new platform capabilities, all from, things with AI, right, where we're bringing AI in and making it more usable for all users of the platform, whether that be sit devs, automation users, or developers, but as well as just improvements in the platform itself, right, improving how we do things like configuring your unattended robots and orchestrator, enabling more connections or easier connections to other credential stores that maybe aren't directly stored in Orchestrator. Improving how you really work with things like Automation Hub and some of the mining tools, and even improvements in apps. And we'll go through a lot of these as we go through these slides. I just kind of pick and chose a few of them to cover today, but definitely if you want a deeper dive into all of these features that are released, I encourage you to go to our docs at uipath.com and take a look at all the latest release notes, some of which are rolling, so some are still coming out and some are already out that you can take advantage of today. So the first big announcement that I did want to kind of cover first, and you'll see it come through in the platform through different products, different capabilities, but UiPath Autopilot. UiPath Autopilot is bringing these generative experiences throughout the platform. Really what it's going to be is a set of new AI-powered experiences that are going to help all your users of the platform, right? So that could be your developers, right? So Autopilot for Studio, Autopilot for Apps is going to help those developers build quicker, build faster, right? So Autopilot is bringing these generative AI capabilities to those products within the platform. When we talk about Test Suite, Autopilot is bringing the ability to really generate test cases from business user requirements. And then from those requirements, build out the actual steps for your test case, those manual steps. And then ultimately, you can even use it to automatically build out coded workflows, right, for those test cases, and then even use it to analyze those test results. From an analyst perspective, you have Autopilot there to help you really understand the data that you're gathering, right, from your process mining and communications mining. And then finally, of course, and this was the big announcement in our 23.10 release that's coming soon to the platform, is Autopilot for our assistant. So Autopilot is going to bring some of this AI-powered experience right to everyone's desktop. You'll be able to interact with it with natural language and actually take action. So that it can go in and really help you do and complete those everyday time-consuming tasks. Now, we'll cover these in a bit more detail as we go through the slides. You kind of go from layer to layer, right? Discover, automate, and operate. And we touch on different features, and you'll see certain slides we cover Autopilot specifically. So I'll just pause here. Are there any questions that anyone has so far? Awesome. All right, discover. So one of the first big updates to the platform comes with process mining. And so really here, what we're doing is we are bringing the ability and kind of connecting process mining more closely to automations and to the logs from those automated processes that are actually running in Orchestrator. What's nice about this is you're going to start to be able to automatically have those logs ingested, start to discover and understand, right, how things are improving, how those automated processes are enhancing, right, some of those bottlenecks and inefficiencies, and really help kind of improve how you're monitoring those KPIs, right? Really, when it comes to process mining, it's all about, hey, not just mining where there could be inefficiencies in the processes from a system perspective, but then how do we monitor that and make sure that we are implementing whether that's process changes or automations to ultimately improve that bottleneck, right? Make things more efficient and then continuously monitor to make sure that, as things change, as business changes, as environments change, those changes that you've implemented, those automations or those process improvements are going to continue to remain in your systems and in your applications. This is available in the cloud 23.10. Automation Suite at the moment is 24.4 for this capability. Moving into task mining for workforce intelligence. You may have seen in the past, we called it assisted task mining and unassisted task mining, and now really bringing it together for this task mining workforce intelligence capability where you're really going to get more improved dashboards and kind of reviews and ability to kind of go through the data that your task mining study is collecting to really understand how users are working and how they're really operating, right? Things like what applications are they interacting with, how many users across those applications do you have interacting, how many screens within those applications are they touching, and different categories that you can kind of slice and dice to really uncover where there might be potential for automation, this time from the lens of a user actually using those applications that you've built out. There is AI within task mining to help really bring together that data, right? So the recorder captures that data. There is some AI intelligence in there to really bring that together and then produce some of these dashboards that you can really uncover where there's potential for automation that complements, right, a lot of what you're seeing in process mining. So in process mining, you're seeing where there are those bottlenecks for logs, where there's inefficiencies in processes from a system perspective, but then you always want to take that a step further and really understand, hey, what are users actually doing on the screens at these steps, and where can we really provide support, whether that's through general process improvement or even automation which, you can then go and directly from Workforce Intelligence, just like you could with task mining in the past, you could submit an idea right into Automation Hub, capture that, and then actually go and work with those users that you were recording and understanding what they were doing to really come up with a good approach to improving that process, whether that's automation or not. Communications mining. So this is one of the mining capabilities in the platform that actually goes down kind of two paths, right? It is a mining tool, so it's going to help you understand your communications, understand what types of communications are coming in and around your organization, right? That could be emails, tickets, survey data, etc. But it's also a tool that you can actually use within automations, right? Or to even kick off automations. And so one of the capabilities we're bringing to it to improve some of the extraction results that are happening is generative extraction. Really what this is going to allow you to do is it's going to go a step further from some of the entity extraction that it had today or kind of has inherently today. And it's going to actually allow you to extract multiple intents, right? So you can read and understand that, hey, within a message, as you're seeing kind of in this screen grab here, there's actually multiple requests all kind of bundled together. And this is pretty common, right, with most communications. You'll see here that there's 2 address changes. And so the generative extraction is able to actually group those accordingly, right? So based on those policy numbers, the correct address lines, towns, and postal codes, and what those changes should be. And there's also a third ask as well, and this time is to amend in a separate policy number somebody's name. And so that request is also pulled out of the communication that's come in, right? And so it gives you, from this unstructured data, a more structured output where each request is kind of separated into their own buckets. And so downstream, you can go and actually take action on each of these in a very simple way through your automations. For 23.10, this is going to be a public preview if you're in the cloud, but highly encourage you to, if you're using communications mining, to take a look at this today and can really improve some of those communications and how you actually act when they come in. Now that was extraction. As I mentioned before too, communications mining is also that mining tool. And in the beginning, when you first start your communications mining project, you do need to do a little bit of labeling. It has, just built in a little bit of clustering and some unsupervised learning to really help minimize the amount of labeling you have to do. But what we wanted to do is take that a step further and really speed up this process even further. And so what we've done is we've added generative annotation or pre-labeling to this part of the platform. And so generative AI is going to, also look at those communications, look at some of the clusters that it's being provided. If there is a taxonomy, it can use that taxonomy and automatically start making some predictions or even suggest some labels to add in as a taxonomy. So in this kind of screen grab at the top here, there's been no labeling done on these 2 policy renewal requests that have come in as part of a cluster. And it's actually suggesting for us that we should create this label under insurance for policy renewal and tag these 2 communications accordingly. So really here, what we're doing is leveraging generative AI to just speed up that process, right, of creating those labels and doing that initial labeling so that you can train your communications mining model faster, get it out into production faster, start understanding your communications, but then also using it to actually execute automations, right? Kick off automations downstream and start getting kind of the full benefit that much quicker. Another thing we've added for communications mining is new studio activities. So, in the past, to use communications mining within the automations, you had to kind of build some of the requests yourself or set up a stream direct into communications mining. But there can be times within the process where you may want additional predictions to happen from communications mining, or you may want to adjust kind of the order of how you're actually executing things within the automation. And so these new activities to upload additional data, to leverage the streams and predict on different records really makes it easier to, within your studio flow, build out your end-to-end automation that can leverage the model that you're training in communications mining to actually execute things. So this can help just make it easier to integrate ultimately with the communications mining platform within your automations and when you're actually going and executing downstream processes. This should be available today. So if you're a cloud enterprise customer, you can go and check out these activities. That link down below can get you some more information as well. And we can send this as a follow-up. Now, lastly, in the Discover section or Discover layer, Automation Hub is an idea flow customization is another improvement that I wanted to point out. I know just from myself with talking with customers in the past and my discussion with them, this was something that they had asked for so that they could really adjust, what is that approval flow for taking an idea that gets submitted to Automation Hub and ultimately getting it into production or making it live. And so this flexibility and being able to modify that default idea flow to make sure you have the right approvals in place, involve the right stakeholders, make sure it's following the correct workflow sequence that is approved for your organization. We now give you more customization directly in Automation Hub for that. And so you can really follow up and set up your own flows that work with kind of your sequencing of approval flows, right? So an example of this could be you may have wanted the idea flow to go from a specific team within your finance department to their line manager before it then makes it to your COE and then ultimately to the COE lead for that final approval. And so some of these additional kind of levels of approval you can now build into the actual idea flow. Automate. Awesome. So, one other improvement that really kind of extends how we're able to execute automations is in a new HTTP webhook connector for integration service. What's really nice about this connector is that it's going to actually be able to capture events, right, sent by other applications that can then go and be used as that initial trigger to go kick off downstream automations. Some of this within integration service we have already, right? If you are familiar with integration service, it does have the ability to set up triggers. But if there's applications where you want to set it up with a specific webhook or something that's not in our connector library today, you can go ahead and use this activity to get that set up. And the automations that you build from this will now be set up to kick off once these webhooks send kind of a notification or send an event that then kicks off the automation. Now within it, you'll see that there's things you can do, kind of some data filters, some additional kind of debugging of the body with some headers. Just allows you to kind of configure a little bit more fine-tuned how this webhook can work and how it can be used to kick off automations and interpret some of those real-time events that it's subscribing to. UiPath Autopilot for Studio. So I mentioned right Autopilot earlier on. Autopilot is bringing these generative AI experiences throughout the platform. And in Studio, one way that it's doing this is being able to allow you to, just with natural language, type to Autopilot, and it will, in Studio, automatically create the workflow scaffolding for you. Really what this is going to allow you to do is do text to workflow. You can do text for UI, for forms, for apps, right? So if you wanted to use it to help you find certain selectors on a specific page, you're going to be able to use natural language and Autopilot to really help set up some of those selectors, as well as kind of the scaffolding of your workflow. If you have coded workflows or you have test cases with coded workflows that you're creating, you're going to be able to use natural language to help you create those as well. Especially if you have an object repository, this makes it really easy to build out those test cases. And you'll see more of that within Test Suite. And then within your actual workflows as well, whenever you run into a scenario where you may need to add some code, add some VB code to kind of fine tune and configure some of the properties of an activity, we have something called Expression Builder, which within Autopilot, you basically just have to type what is the expression you're looking to build out, and within the activity, it's going to automatically pull in that code, right? So kind of reducing the barrier to entry when it comes to being able to create some of those more complex automations. Ultimately, this, right, speeds up development time. Rather than you having to go through and figure out how the activities connect, what activities to pull in to accomplish the task you're looking for. You'll be able to just do this with natural language, and Autopilot will figure out, oh, what activities do I need to pull in? And in this example, right, we want to remove canceled events from Outlook. And so this is automatically brought in by Autopilot. Autopilot for apps. So similar to, right, being able to, from natural language, go ahead and create studio workflows. Autopilot is going to be bringing generative experiences to apps. In this scenario, one, you will be able to go from text, so right, natural language to an app, but you can also upload images or PDFs, as you saw in the example. And when you do that, Autopilot is then able to create that app front end for you. It can actually also go a step further and not only create that front end, but it's going to be able to create the corresponding data service data schema for you as well. So you can see in this example here, it was able to look at that form, automatically create, from that image, these different type into fields based on the fields we're looking for. And it can even go that step further and create some of that data schema for you as well. So pretty powerful way to quickly get some of these apps out there in production and being kind of that front end for your automations. I'll take a quick pause there. Any questions, anyone?
Hey, Drew, this is Tracy. On the task mining name change, does that extend to process mining as well, or is that just for assisted and unassisted task mining?
It's just task mining has workforce intelligence. It's not for process mining. Process mining is still process mining.
Okay.
Autopilot for assistant. And so if you did see kind of the keynote from our Forward 6 release, you did see a demo video of Autopilot for Assistant. At the moment, we are working on building this out and getting it ready for private preview, so coming soon. So if you are interested in taking advantage of Autopilot for Assistant, I encourage you to sign up on our insider portal. But just to give a little bit of background, right, it's going to be a way to interact with the assistant through natural language. Autopilot is going to power the generative AI experience here, where it's going to be able to have a conversation with you, have an understanding of screen context. It's going to have clipboard AI capabilities brought into it. It has a connection to our document understanding, specialized AI models, so it's able to bring those in and read different things like invoices or passport ID cards, extract information from it. And then it even has access to hundreds of out-of-the-box actions or micro automations. And so not only will Autopilot be able to talk to you and have a natural language discussion, obviously through text, but it's also going to be able to actually kick off and execute things based on your conversation flow. Right, so an example is that you may have seen in the Autopilot demo is if I upload a passport and my passport based on an event I want to go to is about to expire, and we need that to automatically execute, or we need to get that ticket created in our ServiceNow instance. Autopilot will already automatically recognize that, hey, this passport is expired or will be expired for this trip. Would you like me to submit an expedited passport renewal request? And it'll automatically use one of those out-of-the-box actions to go and create that ServiceNow request or that ticket request for that expedited passport renewal. Taking in all of that context, right, that you're getting from your conversation, putting it into that action, and then actually putting it into that ticket so that you don't have to go in and then kind of do that separately. So really, it's all about not just having that conversation, that dialogue, but then actually also going and being able to execute things for you, right? Doing some of those manual, repetitive, kind of time-consuming everyday tasks. solution accelerators. So, we've had a lot of solution accelerators, and we are continuing to build them out. We're building them out for things like document understanding, for specific industry vertical use cases in document understanding as just in general. We also have updated collections that are categorized into industries. So if you go to marketplace.uipath.com, you're going to be able to access those solution accelerators. And the solution accelerators also have guides that can actually walk you through setting up and getting them set up from download all the way to installation, and really being able to run them right with some configuration out of the box. So what's really nice about this is a lot of the components and kind of the architecture is pre-built for some common scenarios that we're seeing across industries and across different customers. And so it makes it, again, that much easier to quickly get started without you having to kind of build the entire solution. Just use a pre-built solution, download the package, do some configurations in your automation environment, and then get set up and begin automating. So it really speeds up kind of that end-to-end process and time to value when we talk about some of these more end-to-end automations. Now, you may have seen Studio improvements already, but just to kind of talk to a couple, if you do have the latest version, or if you're in the cloud, you may have gotten this already pushed to you. One, you'll know there's a new look and feel, right? It makes it a little cleaner, a little bit easier to navigate and use. But there are some additional kind of capabilities that have been added to Studio. One, it's going to help you with auto-generating variables. So automatically being able to understand what variables are needed in the project and generate those for you. It makes it easier just with some enhancement to the properties panel to and even the activity cards themselves to explore some of those additional properties to fine tune the activities that you're building with and make it easier to just in one single place customize them for the automation and how you need them to be used. There is an object repository now available for cross-platform automations as well. So prior to this, it was mainly just for those Windows projects and legacy projects, but now it's available in cross-platform, right? Making it easier to reuse components, right? So reusability, the ability to just define selectors once and then be able to drag and drop them in really speeds up that development. You're going to be able to save those cross-platform products to the cloud or those cross-platform automations to the cloud as well. So it makes it really easy to have kind of that cloud storage, right? So it's not all local and you won't lose projects or risk losing projects. And then in Studio Web, if you've played around with that, we've continued to add improvements generally to Studio Web, adding more activities, making more activity packs available. But we've also added versioning in Studio Web. So, that's kind of key, right? If you make changes to a Studio Web project, you always want to, in case you run into an issue or hit a stumbling block, want to be able to version back to the latest working version in Studio. And so you're able to do that pretty seamlessly. Now in apps, we've made some improvements beyond just UiPath Autopilot for apps, bringing some of that generative experience to apps. We've also added some additional integrations and kind of configurations to make it easier to use apps. One, there is integration with Action Center. So oftentimes we have instances where customers want to include Action Center tasks within their app, right? Use Action Center as a way to kind of manage tasks, but really create a customized front end with something like apps or have a standalone web app to have their users go to take action on things. And so now within apps itself, you have a direct integration to Action Center. And so you'll see under the dropdown in controls, if you click integrate with Action Center, you're going to be able to start bringing those activities in and start using them within your apps and within kind of the app experiences that you're building. Now we've also, this was kind of an earlier release, but just to reiterate, right, we've updated how you can use VB expressions within your apps, as well as there is public facing apps available too. So you can not only make apps for internal to your organization, but you can also make them external facing, right? So start to create some of those external facing apps that really bring experiences to your customers, your vendors, your partners, with automation driving kind of flow of information. Now, if you've seen our AI strategy and roadmap presentation, you may already be aware of the generative AI connectors that we have. But again, one thing with kind of this growth of interest and kind of understanding of generative AI and AI in general, we wanted to make it easy for you to bring in generative AI models that you might be setting up in your organizations into your automations, right? And really start operationalizing how those generative AI models are run, right? Automation being that muscle, with generative AI being that decision or brain that can be within those automations. Ultimately helping you tackle some of those more complex automations that you otherwise might have had to scope out or not have been able to tackle. And so we have a bunch of pre-built connectors for all those common foundation models, right? The ones from OpenAI, Azure OpenAI, AWS, Google, Anthropic. But even, with the pace of all of these models changing, or if you have your own fine-tuned model that you're hosting yourself, you can actually bring that in through our connector builder. And so right down here, you can see our connector builder. If in the past, you may have seen a little bit about that release, but basically it allows you to create those connections in integration service. You get all the benefits of managing those connections centrally, as well as having a drag and drop activity that you can use within your automations. So this really helps keep the platform flexible. Every day, there's a different model that's kind of taking the leap in terms of capability and technology. And so that's all going to be readily available for you to just easily plug in and out within your automations. Now, with generative AI being kind of top of mind, the other thing that is top of mind for a lot of customers is security, auditability, transparency, right? Of how these generative AI models are being used, where they're being used. And so within the UiPath platform, we are coming out with an AI trust layer. It's going to be entering preview early next year with the target of 24.4. And really what it's going to allow you or enable is transparency, governance and auditing, and even PII and sensitive data filtering for any of the generative AI experiences within the platform. So you'll have your third-party LLMs that we have, right, that we are using to create different experiences and features throughout the UiPath products. They all go through our LLM gateway, and this helps ensure that there's no data used for retraining or retention, so you can be sure that your data is protected. But if you wanted to take that a step further, you will have controls to do things like generative AI feature governance, usage audit, cost control, harmful content / PII and sensitive data masking, as well as a little bit more control over how those experiences are used within the platform. Now, we are also intending for those integration service connections that you saw earlier to also go through this trust layer. So you will have some of these capabilities of control and kind of fine-tuned accesses and auditability and transparency within that capability of the platform as well. I'll take a quick pause there. Any questions?
Is this going to be like where will this trust layer be? Was it like a orchestrator or server-based app, or where is this going to sit?
Yeah, it's going to be in the automation cloud.
Okay.
The exact kind of layout in terms of, is it going to be part of the admin portal, or is it going to be another kind of icon on there is still to be kind of fully determined, but it will be within the automation cloud that you'll be able to access it.
Thanks.
Mhm. All right. Next generation document understanding. So we're adding a couple kind of generative AI capabilities and just updates and improvements to document understanding, inclusive of kind of its look and feel. One here that we're kind of talking about more specifically is active learning. And so really what it's going to do is enable anyone to ultimately train an AI model. Right, what we're trying to do is democratize access to AI, machine learning, and really make it easier for all users of all kind of levels to take advantage of AI that's within our platform. And so with this active learning, you can see improvements in terms of faster model training, right, from just 1 week down to a day. It will really provide guidance on how you can improve your model. So based on how your model is trained initially, it can provide some guidance on, hey, you need more samples in this field, or you need more of these types of data sets. And so it really brings together humans and AI collaborating to get models trained and out the door quicker. And it really has some instant model evaluation. So when you first set up your document understanding model, you go to train it. There is some built-in kind of performance and analytics, as you're even seeing on screen here, in terms of giving you some feedback for, hey, how is your classification based on the samples you have? How are the extraction results based on the samples you have? And do you need more in one area or another? So it really makes it easy for you to get started with document understanding and deploy some of these models within your automations. Now we're also bringing some other generative capabilities to document understanding. So other areas that we are bringing this is going to be one, generative annotation or pre-labeling. So again, to speed up that whole labeling process of training a specialized model, we've added in generative AI that can be used to help basically try and pre-label some of the documents for you. You'll still need to go in, make some adjustments, kind of make sure everything's labeled correctly, but this can really speed up the process of labeling samples to get those specialized AI models out the door and into production. Really great speeding up training from a week down to a couple of days for those complex scenarios. When it comes to classifying, right, we still have the machine learning classifier, the intelligent keyword classifier, but we also have now an option to do generative classification. It's really fast and quick, right? So all you need to do is drag the activity in. You just have to define what document types you're looking at, give a little description about them, and generative classification will immediately be able to classify those documents based on if it's a letter, if it's an ID card, if it's an invoice, if it's some other kind of document without any training. So it really makes it easy for somebody to get kind of a jump start on building out their document understanding automation and being able to classify pretty easily and seamlessly. Now, there's going to also be scenarios where generative extraction comes in handy. Certain times you may want to train a specialized AI model, but there may also be scenarios where you can't. And in those highly unstructured type scenarios, like you can see on the screen here, where we have a letter, right? And letters may contain the same type of information. In this case, it's an employment letter, which has employee name, company name, and salary. You might be able to, we all, I should say, write letters the same, but we all write letters differently, but we have the same information in those letters. And so training a specialized AI model can be difficult. And so here's where this generative extraction can really come in handy. You don't need to train a machine learning model to answer these questions or summarize content in these highly unstructured documents. Really, you can just drag in the activity, put in what are the fields that you're looking for, a quick description about them, and this generative extraction will do the rest. Now, what's really key here is that it actually gives you transparency, right, into what's being extracted and from where. So when you send the task to Action Center, if you've used our generative extraction, you're going to be able to see where in the document this model was able to extract the information. So it was able to get the name from this first paragraph, the company name from kind of this sign off at the bottom, and then the employee salary from this line here. And so that transparency is really key and important when it comes to generative AI. All right, operate.
We did have a question in the chat. Will there be any improvements with addressing engine used by UiPath for address fields?
Are you referring to like the splitting up of the address fields into their components?
Correct.
Yeah. Generally, yes, we are improving the capabilities behind that for those fields. So overall, yes, to document understanding, there'll be improvements there.
That answer it, Sergio?
Yep. Operate, awesome. So insights, some updates here that I felt were pretty good, just based off, some of my interaction with the customers and what I'm hearing. You can now import and export your dashboards, right? Making it easy to kind of move them across tenants, across different organizations, and even share pre-built dashboards across different groups, right? Oftentimes, especially, this ultimately really depends on how you kind of structured your automation cloud, but you may have built really good dashboards or reporting kind of views in certain tenants or certain organizations, and you may want to share them across so that there's some consistency and standardization, as well as we have some pre-built dashboards as well that you might want to take advantage of. And so this capability really just makes it easy to do that seamlessly, and seamlessly get those dashboards set up and started, so you can really focus on building those automations and then reviewing the results, the ROI, and even any of those custom kind of variables and integrations that you've made. Now, coupled with that is cross-tenant dashboard reporting, right? So, one, you can export those dashboards, but you can also now easily just copy and share them across tenants, and even build cross-tenant dashboards. So a big ask in the past was, hey, I don't want to just report on individual tenants, although tenant separation is great. I want to have a view of my whole org as a whole. And we've had some dashboards kind of in a previous preview type stage for this, but now we've released some more capabilities around being able to have these overarching views and overarching dashboard capabilities within our insights tool. Again, really just making it easier for you to go in, understand your operations, understand your ROI, and get a better sense of, hey, how is your automation program progressing? Now, continuing along the operate side, Autopilot for Test Suite. So here is really where we're using Autopilot to improve a testing persona, right? Or an individual who focuses on the test suite capability in the platform. Autopilot is bringing these generative AI experiences to do a couple things. One is just from a description of a requirement or a business requirement that comes in, Autopilot's going to be able to automatically create the test cases, or at least suggest what test cases should be created. You as a user would be able to also add in additional context, so instructions or documents, to go and then have it automatically generate those manual test case steps as well. From that, you can also, if you're using coded automations, you can have Autopilot automatically create those coded workflows. And that really makes it easy for you to quickly build those test cases, build a library of those test cases, and get them into kind of your sandbox environments for testing, and ultimately getting those actionable insights off of your test results. Now, Autopilot can help you kind of slice and dice those results as well. So once you have those test cases out there, they're running, you're collecting all the information in our test manager, you can actually work with Autopilot there using generative AI to basically understand what insights you're getting from it, where you could even make improvements in your tests, and even what test cases to build additional versions of. So really kind of an end-to-end capability here that's going to help you throughout your testing lifecycle. Speaking of coded automations, what we've added to the platform is also not just a way to do low code drag and drop, right? That's always been there, but we have heard customers ask for the ability to do coded workflows. So if there are developers who prefer writing in code, you're going to have that ability. This really makes it easier to collaborate both between developers that are writing in low code as well as those that are writing in or prefer to write with actual code. And really kind of accelerates, right, migrating test cases, for example, from other platforms that you may have used if you're trying to move into the UiPath platform, because a lot of those are written more in code itself. You can also, from this, build those custom libraries, build those custom activities with complex logic at this coded automation workflow level. And so then you can share it across and share it with even those low code users. So it makes it easy to build some of these libraries, build some additional custom activities, and get them out to your developers. Change impact analysis for SAP. So you may have seen some of this before. I think we did reference this a little bit, but now it's officially available with 23.10. You're going to have out of the box for free, right? SAP visualizations, where you can actually at least see some kind of analytics. But if you want to get more of the change impact mining, you're gonna then, for an additional charge, you can then get that capability brought in. So you'll have the heat map available just out of the box. This can really help you understand within your SAP environment as things change, as tests are executed, where there are gaps, where there are fits, and really where you might need to focus some of your testing efforts and development efforts. So really handy capability here, especially when you're running test cases and automating your testing as it relates to SAP.
I noticed that same heat map. So I've shared the link for what you guys have with the data around this internally a few times.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that on the communications mining, it had a similar layout. Is the back end of this, is that test suite or communications mining, or are you guys just sort of building something similar?
I think the look and feel is just similar.
Okay.
It's separate. They're separate products, so it's not the same. But the look and feel is a good look and feel for communications mining, so it makes sense
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
right? In terms of the use and trying to, because being able to dive in, this is a good view if you need to kind of dive in or see from like a volume perspective, sizing and things like that.
So when it comes to this specific activity, and I'm asking because the org I'm with is about to go through a S4 migration, and they've already
Oh, nice.
started to have conversations with our intelligent automation team, and I see this, but then also when it comes to process mining, right, and the tools and functionality, what are the similarities and differences? And because the business is coming to me asking for process mining, and I see this, and there wasn't a lot of detail around it, but it looks like it's tied to test suite. So trying to understand the delineation of what I should be socializing. Should I say, hey, we should look at process mining for this analysis, or if we really, this is the information I'm thinking that they need, but it looks like it's test suite. So could you provide any clarity on those?
Are you on SAP today and you're just upgrading to
Yeah,
S4, or are you? Okay.
I think it's a complete. It just got approved for next year, so I don't. They're still kind of working through that, but I
Yeah.
believe it's going to be a greenfield migration to S4.
Okay. So with change impact analysis, you're kind of already on SAP, right? And so when it comes to process mining, you're actually able to look at all of your processes. I think I think process mining might be a good start, where change impact mining might also help facilitate. That makes sense. So I would say they're kind of two different lenses, right? Change impact mining is focused on SAP, whereas process mining can be focused across applications, as well as within processes that are in other applications. So when you start, I would say you want to use process mining to first just figure out like, hey, let's blueprint out what do we even have today. And then you can figure out from that where you want to go. And then change impact analysis can really help you scope out what you need to test when you're making changes in your SAP environment.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm. And the team, by the way, too, can also provide you with some demos around it. The team that you're working with, the account team, they should have some additional demos that can show you the use cases for one or the other, or both together.
Yeah, we have also the support support team. And so I did a request just last week about around process mining. So hopefully we hear back soon. But thank you.
Perfect. Solutions management. So this was another one that I found really cool and wanted to share or kind of point out right from that list within the operate section. But really, right, when we build things with the UiPath platform, oftentimes we're building things across multiple components, maybe in multiple environments, and we want to be able to easily kind of package up these automations or these experiences that we're building on the platform and really help kind of deliver them to other tenants, other areas. And so this kind of solutions management, right now it's in private preview with public preview coming soon, but it's going to really allow you to kind of package all of that up, deploy, export, what you built, and then ultimately deploy those automations as more bundles, right? Where some of the settings and configurations with across those UiPath components are already built into the file. And this can make it easy to kind of build and distribute those solutions across the platform, cut time to delivery, right? Especially if you're a COE and you might be working in more of a federated type model and have similar automations that you need to share and reuse. This can really help with some of that to minimize deployment and maintenance focus and allow you to focus more on building the next automations and catering to your business users. So this is kind of a handy way to do some of that import export of some solutions and just manage some of the things at scale that you have built with the platform. We made improvements to the video recording capability that we had within Orchestrator as well with queue recording, right? So if you've been an active user of Orchestrator, whenever or if a robot does fail, sometimes it's helpful if there's a recording feature enabled so you can go back, do some of your troubleshooting, do some of your debugging. And so we've enhanced that capability so that there is more recording capabilities around those queue item transactions. And this just, again, makes it easier to go in with more detail and have a better understanding with some recording visual data of where, within a transactional packets of those queues, of where there could be failure rates or where there could be issues that you need to go in and make some adjustments for. So really just making it easier for you to troubleshoot any failures that could happen or might happen when you're building and developing your automations. Disconnected credential proxy. So prior to this, within the Automation Cloud, if you wanted to have your robots have access to a key vault or a credential store that wasn't connected to Orchestrator, it was a little bit more complex, a little bit more manual in terms of configuration to enable that within your automations. But now we have an ability to do that directly within your automations or within your robots, where you can leverage the unattended robot's ability to now connect directly to those key vaults instead of that are on the same network, instead of going through Orchestrator and having to send your credential manager through Orchestrator to the robot for it to use within its automation. So making it, again, more flexible to use the credential vault that is on your network instead of the one that's connected to Orchestrator. And lastly, one other thing I wanted to mention, just an improvement in terms of the Automation Cloud and those robot VMs that we have. You can now bring your own image. So if you have your own disk VM image, you want to start using our Automation Cloud robots, you could easily provision those virtual machine images to those UiPath Cloud Automation Cloud robots. Again, these Automation Cloud robots basically means we have our own infrastructure, so you don't have to bring your infrastructure. You can just customize an image, apply it to our Automation Cloud robots, and then we'll handle provisioning that underlying infrastructure and having those VMs available for you. So again, this makes it really easy if somebody really wants to fully be SaaS with the platform and have everything running in the cloud. We also make it easy to update those VM automation cloud robots. So within Orchestrator, there's an easy configuration setting within those pools of VMs to go in, have those updates, and some fine-tuned configurations for how you want the UiPath installation to be on all of those machines. Kind of makes it a little bit easier to do this at scale and in kind of a single controlled place for ultimately more flexibility, right? To choose when and how those UiPath software is updated on those virtual machines. And with that, I will end it. Just to remind everyone, right, there was a bunch of capabilities that we didn't cover that are, there's hundreds that were released. So highly encourage you to check out our docs, check out Insider Portal for more. But these were just some of the ones that I wanted to point out that I felt were of interest and some key ones that we had released with this latest release.
It was great timing, Dhruv.
Yeah, thanks so
Right.
much.
We have probably time for one question. Does anybody have any questions? Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for joining today. I know the St. Louis chapter likes to have try to schedule at least one meeting a month virtually. Oh, we do have a question. Is there any more information on the credential proxy?
Oh, sorry, that's for me.
For you, yes.
Yes, that
I don't-
should be on our docs. Let me see if I can get that link real quick. Yes, I will. Let me send to Diana and team the links for both of those. We have in-depth documentation for both, for the coded workflows and for that credential proxy. So I will send over that
That covers both of
information.
those.
Yeah.
Okay,
Awesome.
sounds good. We can
I'll
send
put
those
that-
out with the slide deck as well.
Right, I'll put them in the slide deck.
Great. Well, I appreciate everyone's time, and please be on the lookout on the UiPath website, community website, for more events that we'll be hosting in the future.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Drew and
Diana.
Katie. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye all.